Hi, how you doing? Justin here with a little bit more Music Business 101. I'm here with my friend James Taylor from the Music Business Institute, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more about publishing and when you've copywritten a song. So let's assume I've written my song, and either I'm performing it and it's out on the radio and on television, or I've given it to somebody else and they're recording it and they've released it on their record or whatever. How do I get the money, and what money's coming from where? How does all of that work?
Well, I mean, the great thing when you create a song or any artistic work, the way to think about it is it's actually a bundle of different rights that you own. It's not just, one particular right. So where this relates to a songwriter, and especially it can be difficult if you're just getting started at writing songs as a songwriter or a recording artist, is to first of all recognize the different types of rights that exist in a song. Now, when we're talking about songs and publishing, we're talking about usually two main rights. One is called the mechanical rights, and the other one's called the publishing rights. And there's different ways that you collect the money for these different income streams. So let's say you've created a song, you've written a song, and maybe you've recorded it yourself on your own recording, or maybe someone else has now recorded one of your songs or is playing it live even. So how do these two different things collect? How do you make your money? How does it come back to you? So what a mechanical copyright is, it goes back to the days when they used to have these big presses and they used to press shellac and vinyl and things. And so every time someone pressed one of your songs onto their recording, they had to pay what was called a mechanical license, and that's where the mechanical part comes from. So always remember, okay, mechanical, it means replication or duplicating something. So
physical stuff.
It's like a physical thing, but obviously now we've moved online, and so something being on a server is actually a form of duplications. iTunes will still play when you download a tune from iTunes. You're kind of making a copy, so there is a mechanical that's implicit in that. So that's the first right. So where that applies is, let's say if I'm a record label and you're a songwriter, and I've released one of your songs, and it's come out on this record label, I have to, in the UK, we have to pay 8.5% to a society called the Mechanical Copyright Protection Society, MCPS, and in America it's called a different version called Harry Fox Agency. This money will go to this collection society, which is a bit like a clearinghouse for copyrights. So it means that it makes it really easy for any record label to go to just one place to get a license to use your song. And then what happens is they collect all the money, and then they take off their administration fee, and then they pay it directly to you. So that's the first, it's mechanical. So as a songwriter, you're going to make money from mechanicals for a start. But there's this other way. And what's happened in history now is mechanicals have gone like this, but performing royalties have gone like this, because more live shows are happening than ever. There's more radio, there's YouTube, there's all kinds of places where you can experience and listen to music. So where the performing royalty comes in is where your song, it doesn't even matter if you haven't recorded, you're not the artist, but these are your songs, has been performed and publicly or played really. Okay. So that could be everything. That could be from if I'm waiting on a phone line somewhere waiting to get put, and one of your songs is being played, well, money's being collected for that. If I go to a gig and if I see, I don't know, an artist that's performing one of your songs, I know that 3% in the UK, 3% of every ticket price should be going to the songwriters whose songs are being performed that night, which is coming back to you as well. If there's lots of examples, anytime you really hear songs being performed or recorded music being played, you should hear that. Radio, if a radio play, the money comes in from that. In the UK, that money is collected by a society called PRS for Music. And in other countries, in America, ASCAP and BMI and SESAC, and every country has their own equivalent of that. So what you would do as a songwriter is you would go and register with the society for your particular country. So if you're in the UK, you would go and register with PRS for about £50, and they would pay you the money that's collected from all these songs being performed.
They collect from overseas as well then?
Exactly. So the great thing is, if you're a member of one of these large societies, they have what are called reciprocal arrangements with societies around the world. So in theory, if someone performs your song in New York, you should receive the money from that. The practice is a little bit more difficult than that, but that's the theory of it. Where you can only, in every country, you can only register with one society. That's something that's important to remember. So if, for example, if your songs start getting, if you're an American artist and your songs start getting a lot of play in Germany, it might be worth than having a society you're registered with in America and another one in GEMA in Germany, for example. So you can have different, only one for the same country. With mechanical rights, I mentioned earlier, same thing again. You just apply. You just join. Those cost about £50 to join that. If you're just releasing your own songs on your own record label, there's actually no point in joining MCPS, because all you would be doing is taking some of your own money, giving someone 10% of it or whatever, and then paying it back to yourself. So there's no point in doing that. But
I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. So, but even if you're a performing artist, let's say you're going out there, you're playing your own songs in pubs, as an example. The pub will have to be paying some money to PRS. It takes only like a couple of shows for you to make back that £50 from what they're going to be paying. So I would say performing rights society is very good idea to join. If you're in America, you have ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC. They kind of they'll do a similar thing, but you have to. SESAC's a bit more kind of elitist, like Bob Dylan and Neil Diamond. You have to be invited to that. BMI, ASCAP, they're kind of doing similar things. I've found BMI more Nashville based, and probably like ASCAP more kind of New York kind of focused, but pretty much they're doing the same things. There's some slight differences in terms of how you can apply to them, but certainly BMI you can apply very easily to join that.
Do you have to have something special to be able to join? Do you have to have songs on the radio or something, or you can just join? Whatever you like? Yeah,
they've each got their own criteria, and in the case of like PRS, you can really join. There's not a big bar that you have to, as long as you're performing live. Really, that's probably the main criteria, or your songs are being performed live. If you're in America, it's a bit more difficult. If depending on the society, you just have to look in each of the different societies. For the performing, you've got ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC. So you just look at the rules and regulations for each of those. And for the mechanical side, Harry Fox is the usual one. So just go online. All these things, you can join them online. It used to be a real pain before. You used to have to go and do all the form filling and everything. You can do it all online now.
Wow. Okay. So let's just recap quickly. So for mechanical things, we've got the MCPS, which almost sounds like mechanical MCPS, which is, and the Harry Fox agency
is the US.
Is for the US, and other countries have like Australia and Japan, and they all have their own.
Actually, if you're watching this in Japan, it's actually much easier because they have one society that represents both mechanical and performance called JazzRack, and some countries will have just one society that you just have to register with once. Okay.
Cool. And PRS was the Performing Rights Society, which is for songs.
Anytime your songs are being performed. Now that money goes to the songwriter. It doesn't go to the recording artist. It's a common misconception. There's actually another society completely, in the UK it's called PPL, that collects that part. But this is really, if you're a songwriter, you would, in the UK, you'd generally be a member of both PRS and MCPS.
Okay. And the equivalent of PRS in America
is ASCAP, BMI, or SESAC are the ones there. And just go online. They're great. You can call them up and you can speak to them and just find out what the different criteria. I would say BMI, in my opinion, would be the better one maybe to join in America, but it's up to yourself, really.
Cool. Okay, well, I hope all of that made sense. If you want any more information, there's lots of free, cool info on James's website, which is the musicbusinessinstitute.com. I'll put links in the description below, and we'll be back answering some more questions very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.